acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, has identified hatred as the root cause of the various religious crises in the country. The acting president made the observation at the 14th biennial conference of the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, PFN, holding in Benin City, Edo State. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
The acting president was speaking at the 14th biennial conference of the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria in Benin, Edo State. He says the reason the nation has not been able to put a stop to religious crisis is the hate and the urge to avenge every attack.
I need to comment briefly on the southern Kaduna killings. Since investigations are still going on, it will be irresponsible of me to make any categorical statements, except to say that the approach that the federal government has taken to all civil conflicts is first to allow the governor, the chief security officer of the state, working with the police to be the first responders. The FGN intervened only when the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into the disturbances was completed. It is with respect unfair to suggest that the FGN was silent because it supported killings. This is not true.
While chronicling the series of attacks that had taken place since the 1970s till date, acting President Yemi Osinbajo explains that religious conflict is a setback to the nation's development and growth.
When their bombs go off in the markets and motor parks, it doesn't ask whether you're a Muslim or a Christian or whether you believe in God before it kills. Our mandate to all, without exception, is to preach the love of Jesus Christ.
We declare that heaven will continue to remain open over this country.
Jide Onifade, NTA News.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Abayomi Gabriel Olonishaki, has emphasized that the Nigerian military has always been guided by the principles of human rights protection in all its operations and engagements. General Abayomi made this known when the Project Implementation Committee of the National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, and its partners paid him a courtesy call at the Defense Headquarters. The Chief of Defense Staff in a statement assured the team that the Armed Forces of Nigeria would continue to respect the rights of every individual, not only in its operations in the Northeast, but in every other operation it is involved. He added that the military has also established human rights desks in all its formations, units, and operational areas across the country. Senate Committee on Health has reiterated the resolve to legislate towards improving healthcare delivery in the country. Chairman of the committee, Senator Olanrewaju Teju Osho, gave this indication at the 2017 budget defense by departments and agencies of the Ministry of Health. National Assembly correspondent Waziri Zayano reports.
Senator Olanrewaju Teju Osho lamented Nigeria's continuous failure to meet minimum requirements of allocating 15% of annual budget to health, despite being signatory to the 2001 African Union Abuja Declaration. He said it is only through the budget processes, oversight, and defense that health status of average Nigerians can be strengthened.
We all know that in Nigeria we have about 1,500 children who die every day because of severe acute malnutrition. Yet, we budgeted 2.4 million last year.
Representative of Ministry of Health and its agencies had earlier given sectoral breakdown of allocations of their establishments. The sitting of the Committee on Works on the 2017 budget defense emphasized need for good working relationship and budget making and implementation through harmonious working relationship between executive and the legislature to yield optimal results in the country's development agenda. Chairman of the committee, Senator Kabiru Gaya, stated this at the 2017 budget defense.
We need to reclaim our national road network from its dilapidation state and once again elevate it to a viable state where it can help promote national economic growth and prosperity.
Agencies that appeared before the Science and Technology Committee also defended allocations made to their various organizations and plans for implementation.
Notwithstanding the current situation in the country, the deployment of science, technology, and innovation, and its integration in national socio-economic development processes must be accorded the highest priority. We need to give ministries like the defense agencies, particularly the level of performance of 216 per day, and see where there are shortcomings, where there are problems.
Outside budget defense, Democracy Support and Election Coordination Group has visited the Senate President Bukola Saraki to solicit for collaborative working relationship with National Assembly.
We are trying to develop this special relationship with some countries in the world. By the way, we established this relationship with Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, Tunisia, Myanmar, Peru, and now we are so happy to have this special relationship with Nigeria.
Also use this opportunity to thank you and commend you for the role played in 2015. It was an historic event for us in this country. It will never be forgotten. The first time we've been able to transfer power from one party to the other and in a peaceful manner.
In the meantime, screening of the 46 non-carrier ambassadorial nominees by the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs has commenced Tuesday and is still ongoing. From the National Assembly, Wazir Zayan, NTA News.
The House Ad Hoc Committee on Review of Pump Price of Petrol has asked for more committed cooperation between the Nigerian Navy and Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, for adequate protection of oil vessels. This came to the fore at a meeting of the committee with Central Bank and other stakeholders in the oil sector. National Assembly correspondent Ifeanyi Ezumba reports.
Committee chairman said insecurity is a major impediment for most oil vessels to berth in Nigerian ports.
Nigerians are also paying 0.84, that's 84 kobo on every liter for services of MPA. And MPA is expected to always support and dredge the sea so that it can be deep enough for some of these large vessels to come in. And you see, this is not there. So there's a double taxation.
The Director of Maritime Services said high charges in Nigerian ports are the reason why oil marketers prefer to patronize neighboring countries' port. However, the Minister of State for Petroleum, Ibe Kachiku, added that there is no free oil zone in Lagos area, but there is in Lome.
Now we're going out to identify repairing our refineries, get individuals who can build what we call co-location refineries on the same platforms where our refineries are, and identifying some key specific modular refineries backed up by foreign investment and working with state governments on those. Hopefully, a lot of that can be Niger Delta, and that will help some of the restiveness that you see.
In 2013-2014, what Central Bank gets from all the federal government sale of crude and so on that accrues to federal government is about $3 billion a month. Central Bank in the interbank market was only a marginal player. What we sell into the interbank market was just about 30%.
The committee emphasized that at the end of the exercise, those agencies that are going by the rules will be commended, while those shortchanging the country will be exposed. From the National Assembly, Ifeanyi Ezumba, NTA News.
The National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, is an agency set up by the federal government to produce homegrown technologies. But since its establishment in 1992, the Research Institute has produced a number of research results yearning for commercialization. House Committee Chairman Benny La, impressed by the state of technologies by the Institute, wonders why the products cannot be replicated in great quantity for the benefit of Nigerians. Science correspondent Kiran Umayo reports.
NASENI has developed technologies such as 7.5 kilowatt solar energy facility, propeller turbines power generation technology, 35 kilowatt cross-flow small hydro turbine, 5 kilowatt kinetic hydro turbine facility, first made in Nigeria tricycle and motorcycle, nano science and nano medical facilities. These technologies, including rotary furnace manufacturing technology, transformer integrated cassava flour manufacturing facility, energy energy-saving bulb technology and multi-grain threshing machine facility and the voting machine all are lying on the shelves of Naseni, as not much has been done to commercialize them. Chairman House Committee on Science and Technology, Benny La, says it is not possible to achieve economic development, job creation, and skills development without an efficient engineering and product development institute like Naseni.
We want to see more activity, and I think what we are seeing is it tells us that we need to put more in that, more effort in that regard. We need to talk to see how we can also expand the scope of what we're doing.
In order to ensure collaboration, we used to call private sector to come and take our products or sell the technology to them. In fact, we even innovated a way in which we will commence doing the research and development from day one with the private sector so that the output product is exactly according to their specification.
The nation to successfully make its own technology-based products, experts believe there must be a synergy between the research institute, the manufacturing sector, and government for easy transition of prototypes from laboratory to the marketplace. Kirian Umayo, NTA News.
Now, proffering lasting solutions to challenges of steady and sustained power generation, transmission and distribution was the focus at our stakeholders' interactive dialogue in Abuja. National Assembly correspondent Dennis Adegunloye reports that key players in the sector, the leadership of the National Assembly and the Minister of Power Works and Housing were present.
Describing the challenges in the sector as man-made, the Senate President Bukola Saraki urges that the dialogue is just not another case of analysis and ultimately non-implementation of solutions.
I'm sure that with the capacity and level of human resources, the brains that we have, we can get ourselves out of this mess.
Speaker, House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara touched on the need for a critical assessment of legislations and enactment of new laws to regulate the sector.
Let me urge that the progress in this area cannot be automatic. And those who think progress is inevitable without action will be dwelling in the realm of alternative facts.
Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, emphasized that privatization of the sector is the way to go and enumerated critical areas to examine.
There is, of course, lack of gas. I think also this is one way where you can exert your energies and your powers to make legislation that become more investor-friendly.
Goodwill messages came from notable persons who called for focus and meaningful action.
In our style of doing things, we are not into rhetorics. We talk about issues, solutions, and how to actualize the solution.
The workshop is tagged the Nigerian Power Challenge, a legislative intervention. A communique is expected to be drawn up with specific plans of action backed up by legislation to pave the way for a new and positive chapter in power supply in the country. In Abuja, Dennis Adegunloye, NTA News.
Borno State government says it will not hesitate to prosecute parents who withdraw their daughters from school for marriage. Governor Kashim Shettima stated this when he visited some schools across the local government areas of the state. Mohammed Guni reports.
Governor Kashim Shettima has at different fora emphasized the need to invest in the education sector as the future of the nation depends on sound and functional education system. He restated his administration's commitment to reposition the sector in the post-insurgency rebuilding process with construction of new classrooms and provision of modern teaching facilities and rehabilitation of existing ones. Those enrolled at primary and junior secondary schools are given 1 square meal in addition to free uniform and books while staff quarters are constructed. The government also charged village and ward heads to mobilize subjects on school enrollment in their various domains or risks being dethroned.
We leave no stone unturned to ensure that we provide a working space for the 21st century for our daughters. Of course, we learn some things of history.
Governor Shettima during the visit inspected drip irrigation project meant to empower returning IDPs in Kandiga and Kada local government which is expected to enable them to generate revenue for family sustenance. Also inspected was the newly renovated Benishek General Hospital, as well as industrial hub being constructed in Maiduguri under the post-insurgency economic recovery program. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
This is the news on NTA International, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. There will be more reports after the break. Do stay with us.
NTA International News. Africa as it is.
It's good to know you're still with us. The Federal Ministry of Environment has proposed a green bond of at least 20 billion naira to finance environmental friendly projects under the Sustainable Development Goals. Uche Nwizu reports that this was at a forum with permanent secretaries of key ministries in Abuja on Nigeria's plans to issue the first sovereign green bond.
The recession in Nigeria has necessitated the creation of diverse ways to mobilize resources to fill its funding gap so as to achieve optimal implementation of projects. The Federal Ministry of Environment, through the Interministerial Committee on Climate Change, has developed Green Bond to achieve the targets in the Nationally Determined Contributions (NDCs) by 2030. Green Bond is simply an innovative alternative source of raising money to fund climate-friendly projects in Nigeria. The pilot issuance is expected to commence in March 2017 with 5 projects in 3 sectors.
By implication, that means that it is projects that are captured within the related ministries, departments, and agencies that qualify for the 3 criteria area.
We want projects that are environment friendly, projects that have little emission, and projects that ensure that our people get adaptive to the climate change situation today.
What to do is to make sure that some of these initiatives are included in the plan, so that funds are released as I want to.
For now, Green Bond is public sector driven, but intends to be issued by both domestic and international markets in future. Uche Nwizu, NTA News.
And for more on the economy, let's join Muplang Dakok on the business news segment.
It's a pleasure to have you join us. Following the inauguration of solar-powered home systems in rural communities by the federal government, the small and medium-scale enterprises, SMEs, are set to receive a boost. Experts say the project has capacity to power businesses and cottage industries, thereby boosting their earnings for economic growth.
I tell you, solar is cheap, but the problem is it's not everybody who can afford the startup cost. The capex is high. If you can look down 6 to 10 years, you will definitely break even. So powering small businesses is key, very, very key.
One of the major issues bedeviling the MSME is this issue of multiple taxation. Secondly, the government can create opportunity for training to build the capacity of the promoters of the MSMEs.
On money matters, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, says its monthly supply of dollars has dropped to between $600 million and $700 million. Deputy Governor of the CBN, Sarah Alade, who made this known, explained that the forex scarcity was the reason why the Apex Bank was unable to meet all demands, especially those from importers of petroleum products. Trading on the Nigerian Stock Exchange closed Wednesday on a positive note, appreciating by 0.05%. That's it on Business News. Thanks for watching. I am Moplang Dakok.
Following the return of peace and stability in the Gambia, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jeffrey Onyama, says setting up a joint commission with the Gambia is being considered. The minister said this in a meeting with the High Commissioner of Sierra Leone to Nigeria in Abuja.
This commission would enable us to really structure our relationship, in a more comprehensive way. And so we discussed that possibility.
Talk about the bilaterals, discussions on what we have been doing in the past in terms of the TISAD, exchange programs, and certain other issues that relates to both countries.
Commissioner commended the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for the role played and the prompt release of the kidnapped Deputy High Commissioner, Major General Claude Nelson Williams. Meanwhile, the Minister of State Foreign Affairs, Khadija Abba Ibrahim, also met with the Ambassador of the Sahrawi Republic on bilateral relations. South Africa High Commissioner to Nigeria, Lulu Nguni, says the time has come to integrate the time-tested relationship between Nigeria and South Africa in their school curriculum for posterity. Mr. Ngunu spoke in an interview with the media shortly after a closed-door meeting with the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Diaspora, Abike Dabri Erewa, in her office. Ogechi Paul reports.
Going memory lane, the South African representative recalled the invaluable support of Nigeria in the fight against the apartheid regime in that country, which he said is one in a long list of bilateral contributions between both countries. As long-term trade partners, he said the balance of trade stood at about 55 billion rand, with better chances for improvement. He admitted, most regrettably, that recent negative narratives bedeviling the time-tested relationship between both countries demand concrete actions.
Our unity is indivisible, and we want our young ones, the youth of today, to know about this. It must form part of our curriculum.
We've discussed with His Excellency as to how both countries can work together to achieve minimal crime, minimal violence, and minimal negative results coming out of Africa.
Ahead of the meeting, High Commissioner Lulu Nguni had commiserated with Nigeria over the alleged extrajudicial killing of a Nigerian in late December 2016, which is said receiving the attention of South African authorities. Ogechi Paul, NTA News.
Somalia's parliament elects former Prime Minister Mohamed Farmajo as the new president. The country's president, Hassan Sheikh Mohammed, has accepted defeats in elections, handing power to ex-Prime Minister Justin Bemuni. Has details of stories from other parts of the globe.
The election was held in a heavily guarded aircraft hangar in Mogadishu International Airport, as the rest of the country was said not to be safe. 22 candidates vied for the presidency after a series of postponements since December 2016. This election is significant as it is the country's first presidential election since 1984. And still on politics from East Africa, a case brought to Zimbabwe's Constitutional Court by protest leader Promise Nkwanazi challenging President Robert Mugabe's rule was dismissed on a technicality. The Tajumuka pressure group leader wanted to prove that the 92-year-old president was unfit to hold office given his advanced age. The court threw out the application, saying Mr. Nkwanazi had failed to serve Mr. Mugabe with the papers. He has 30 days to address the technicalities and reapply. Away from Africa, a court has handed Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny a 5-year suspended prison sentence after finding him guilty of embezzlement in a retrial, barring him from running in the 2018 presidential election. Navalny said he would appeal the sentence and would take part in the elections regardless, adding that the sentence is a signal from the Kremlin that it considers him too dangerous. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
Time now for sports update with Kene Emma Bodike.
Having concluded their training camp at the Jabi Lake, Abuja, the Nigerian contingent to the 2017 First Phase Africa Zone 3 Beach Volleyball Under-21 World Cup qualifiers is set to depart on Thursday for Lomé, the Togolese capital, where the tournament takes place between February 10 to 13. The men and women teams, which have 4 players each, say they are battle-ready for their Zone 3 counterparts, namely Ghana, Benin Republic, and host Togo, in their bid to reach the second phase of the qualifiers in March. Encouraging young athletes to embrace sports through a fusion of academics and mentoring is a sure bet to restoring Nigeria as Africa's sports hub. Former Senate President David Mark made this known at the just concluded 6th Par-Iquota Mark Golf Championship in Otukpo, Benue State, which saw over 100 players compete in both professional and amateur categories.
If all Nigerians who have the wherewithal, if I may say, encourage, just pick up one game and encourage it, will be better off.
Tokyo officials have questioned the president of the Japan Olympic Committee, Tsunekazu Takeda, over controversial NTA News.
Up next is Thursday's weather prospects across Nigeria and other cities of the world. And with the weather forecast, we conclude the news. Thank you for watching.